Okay.
Just to let everyone know, we are recording this meeting this evening.
Bless you. Okay, there's slowly a few more people trickling in, so we'll. They say we're supposed to get a little bit more snow tonight here in the city. Anyways, I'm not sure about the rest of Manitoba, but.
Snowstorm up in Flin Flon, Thompson area, 10 to 15 centimeters, I think they were getting.
Oh. So they'll definitely have a nice white, clean white Christmas maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how many people we're at? About 19 people right now. So we'll give it just until about, let's say 7:02, and then we'll start, and those who join can join partway through. How does that sound, Diane? Rosalind, thumbs up?
Yep, that sounds good to me. There's currently 21 people online.
Perfect. Okay, I got some weird things show up on my screen. Do anybody else have any weird things on their screen? Oh, mine just went away. There was these gray boxes in the middle of my monitor.
No, they were there.
Okay.
Just something weird was happening on my end. I don't know what it was.
Okay, I was like, all right, that's interesting. I've never seen that before.
No, I had a whirling happening on my screen, and oh no.
Do you have a map on the shelf in your house?
Yeah, someone's causing mischief.
Yeah.
Okay, there's. All right, 7:02, Diane, we might as well get going. You're on mute, Diane.
No, sounds good to me. I was trying to unmute. I thought I had, but I didn't. Sounds good to me. Welcome, everybody. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening at our second town hall this year. So what a season we are having. I never thought that our skating season would be challenged like it has been this year. I don't think any of us have ever experienced anything like this before. So I really want to take this time to thank the clubs, the skaters, and the coaches for all their efforts during this first half of the season, for trying to provide some type of opportunity for their skaters. I also want to thank the efforts of Brian Palliser and Dr. Rusin for guiding our province through this pandemic, as well as Skate Canada and Sport Manitoba for their guidance through this challenging time. So I just wanted to let you know that we will have a live question and answer period after the end of this town hall. And you can submit questions. If you haven't already submitted questions, they can be submitted through the chat function or you can email Rosalind at her skateadmin@sportmanitoba.ca if you want to submit your questions confidentially. But otherwise, you can just put them in the chat, and we will be monitoring the chat for questions throughout. And if you have any issues with not being able to hear us or see the slides correctly, please let us know in the chat. So we'll be checking that as well. So I will now pass it on to Shauna.
Oh. Hi, everyone. Actually, Rosalind's going to start with the first slide and some information. And then we would just ask again, everybody, I'm sure most of you, I can't see all of the little pictures on the screen, but if you wanted to keep yourself on mute to make sure there's no background noise. We haven't had any feedback yet, so that's a positive. And okay, Rosalind, I'll let you take it over from here.
Hi, everyone. So we're just going to do a recap of where we were as of November 12th. So at that time, we were at 35 skaters on or near the ice, plus an additional 5 coaches and or PAs. Can Power remained at 30 skaters. And stage 2 is where we were at within our stages, with the exception of Can Skate, which we had open up to stage 4, where we were able to welcome skaters who had no previous skating experience, but were able to move across the ice independently. This also included stage 3, which was our pre-can adult and taught type classes. Pairs and dance disciplines were able to utilize the 15-minute close contact per session rule for sport-specific training. And later in the fall, we launched the new Return to Synchro document. Competitions, seminars, assessment days, clinics, ice shows, carnivals, etc. were reviewed on a case-by-case basis in the office. And that's where we left off.
Okay, and so I'm just going to talk a little bit about some of the activities that Rosalind spoke about, the last bullet points on how to request certain activities. So anybody who's looking to host an event, they'll need to email me at my email address, skate.exec@sportmanitoba.ca, and include information that I need to know is like your host, your club name and location of the event, the date of the event, the type of event that you're wanting to hold, whether it's monitoring, an assessment day. That doesn't include the coach assessed assessments, any workshops, clinics, seminars, ice shows, carnivals, performance days, etc. Also, we need to know how long you plan on the event will take place and the number of anticipated participants that you expect to have. And we are also looking at, you'll have to more than likely fill out a sanction form. We will review it based on what code we are. Obviously right now, nothing can happen, but we'll be looking at code orange to see, or yellow, whatever we're in, may dictate some other restrictions that we may put on for those days. And I would ask that you each put each request on an independent email, just so I can review each one independently and that won't get lost in my inbox as we approve them and move or request further information. For assessment days, there has been a document that has been created by our JET committee to guide clubs and skating schools through the process when they were, we did have, I think we did get a couple in before we were locked down, and there were a number of clubs that had some on the books that are still tentatively on the books, but been in suspension right now because of the code red. If you have any questions regarding the assessment day protocol, please make sure you contact myself, and then I can ask the JET committee or Diane Harder for clarification. Additional considerations, obviously, again, with any assessment days are based on the provincial response level color, so whether we're orange, yellow, or hopefully we hit green. And that'll determine if there's any additional restrictions or considerations for your particular assessment day. Oops, sorry, I should turn my phone off. I'm quiet so it doesn't beep. So that's really all there is for assessment days. And Rosalind, it's back over to you for the next little bit.
So the Synchro committee worked hard to develop a return to Synchro document. This new resource was made to guide the safe return of sport-specific training, such as holds, to our Synchro teams during the pandemic. If you haven't had a chance to review the document, it is on our website under the COVID resources. Some of the new requirements to be aware of are the following highlights. Skaters are being asked to wear masks and mittens and gloves during the periods of close contact. And just a reminder, close contact is anytime they're within that 6 foot distance. So if they're 4 feet from each other, they should be wearing masks and mitts and gloves. While a region is in the orange zone, contact is restricted to the same household only. When the region goes back down to yellow, close contact is for a maximum of 15 cumulative minutes per session, and that's the entire team. So we're so excited for our synchro community to be able to begin training close contact elements again. We know it was hard for them not to be able to do their sports specific training. So we really appreciate your patience and can't wait to get back to the yellow zone for you.
So what happens next? We are all waiting for word from the public health in early January, and we are hoping for the green light to get back on the ice. We won't know until that first week of January. So we're hoping that prior to the 8th that public health will come out with a statement saying whether or not we can actually get back on the ice. When we do get that green light, we will proceed safely following our return to sport plan as we did prior to the shutdown. Meanwhile, the committees are working hard to develop opportunities for skaters to stay engaged in the sport. And Cadvan's going to go through some of those initiatives right now.
Hi, everyone. I just want to echo some of Diane's thoughts from the start. And it has been a really challenging season, but I have to offer some applause to some clubs and coaches who've been really innovative in their delivery of virtual programming. The same for me extends to some of our committees and some of the hard work they're doing. So I'll kind of go over some of those programs that we are either unveiling now or are in development. The first is the Saturday Star seminar series. This is a series of 5 different seminars happening once a month and concluding in April. The registration is live and will be ongoing until the seminar is full. Number 2 is the virtual training resources for coaches and clubs. This is a question and answer format for coaches and clubs to learn about virtual training from those who have implemented programs at their clubs. This document contains great information on best practices, ideas, and strategies from coaches in our section to help other coaches begin using this form of training within their own clubs with their own skaters. This is now available on our website at mbskates.ca. Number 3 is the coaching series on club and athlete development. This will aim to bring different club management perspectives from around Canada to Manitoba so that we can learn about different ways they have organized their programming to best serve the development of athletes. We'll have more details about this program in the new year. Number 4, excuse me, is the release of club support documents and resources. The office and regional director committee have been working on the development of club support documents to help clubs be organized and knowledgeable in their operations. We hope that these documents will be helpful for new and seasoned boards alike. Number 5 is the club seminar on club development for athletes. This will be similar to the coaching series by focusing on club management perspectives from different clubs around Canada. Through the sharing of experiences and ideas, attendees will have new perspective to share and take back to their club boards and coaches. Number 6 is the CanSkate Resource Team virtual support meetings. The CanSkate Resource Team continues to be available for clubs to schedule a free consultation with. The PA training strategies from PA training strategies to shared ice delivery, they're here to help you work within your resources to be able to deliver a successful CanSkate program. Number 7 is the Skate Canada Challenge broadcast. So the Skate Canada Challenge will be broadcast over 2 weekends. The first being January 8th to 10th and the second from the 15th to the 17th. We do have 4 skaters from Manitoba who will be competing. These are junior and senior events with 12 competitors moving on to the Skate Canada National Championships. Excuse me. You can find the schedule for this on when to watch on the Skate Canada event page. Number 8 is the pre-novice and novice qualifying event. So there have been numerous discussions with Skate Canada about a pre-novice and novice national event. I think it would just be easier for me to read a statement from Deborah Armstrong that'll be released tomorrow. That should give you the information you need, so I'll read that now. The 2020-2021 season has been impacted by the global pandemic, which has required Skate Canada to revisit the format of all competitions to ensure that the health and safety of the athletes, coaches, officials, and volunteers remains our utmost priority. With that, Skate Canada is pleased to announce the 2021 Skate Canada Cup. This event will be held virtually, allowing pre-novice and novice skaters from across the country to participate in a safe manner from their home sections. The format of this event will follow that of the 2021 Skate Canada Challenge. Sections will film competing skaters' programs and will submit the videos to Skate Canada to be streamed in the traditional competition format with live remote judging. The deadline for video submissions will be March 31st, 2021. The event date will be announced in the new year and will be available to watch through Skate Canada's Daily Motion streaming service. The addition of the pre-novice and novice competition will allow these athletes the chance to continue their development and goals for the season, said Deborah Armstrong, CEO of Skate Canada. We have made significant changes to our season this year and thank all those who have helped make it possible to keep our athletes on the ice competing in a safe manner. Circumstances around the country and the ability for sections to participate in this event, however, are fluid. As such, Skate Canada will determine if this event will continue as planned or if modifications or cancellations may be required by February 1st, 2021. And that is it for number 8.
And then finally, just wanted to talk a little bit about the strategic plan. As you know, we instituted a new strategic plan this past year, and we are working our way through it. We're continuing to move through the plan, and we're making some progress. So some of the initiatives you just heard from Cadvan, these are some of the initiatives that align with our strategic plan. And we're also working on updating our governance model to build a more resilient team. So look for more information on that, and we will be having lots of this information available at our next AGM.
All right, so next up is backyard outdoor rinks and in Skate Canada Insurance. So as many of you are aware, and you probably yourselves have maybe put in some backyard rinks. So currently we are in Manitoba, we are in a red zone, which means there is no in-person sanctioned activities. So what can you do while we're in the Manitoba Pandemic Response System level red? So personal use of these surfaces is permitted while in red, as long as skaters can skate on outdoor private rinks independently. No Skate Canada programs or activities will be allowed, and no coaching in person or virtual is allowed either. No Skate Canada insurance for accidents or liabilities for those accessing outdoor private ice at this time. So what does that really continue to mean? Once the Manitoba Chief Public Health Officer changes the pandemic response color, there may be further allowances made. We did have a statement in our e-news a couple of weeks ago that indicated that at no time Skate Canada professional coach can provide virtual instruction for a skater who's on an ice surface. So we did receive a few questions regarding that, and what we went back to Skate Canada just for some clarification of that statement to ensure how broad that statement was or in what context. So we just wanted to clarify that while in code red, that Skate Canada professional coaches cannot provide virtual instruction for a skater who is on an ice surface. Following that, there are some questions that were asked, and Rosalind's just going to toss them up on the screen. So I have seen choreographers and coaches in different provinces post that they have connected with skaters virtually while they were both on the ice in different locations. Is this a rule that is in place just because of Code Red in Manitoba, or is this a Skate Canada rule? So Skate Canada came back with a response that says, in order for Skate Canada insurance to be valid, a coach must be present to administer first aid. This is a condition of insurance qualification and not tied to any Skate Canada rules. Then another question was, skater A is on the ice with Skate Canada coach Manitoba and is in a lesson with her. On FaceTime, is Skate Canada coach A from another province giving feedback to Skate Canada coach Manitoba and skater A? Can this happen? As long as the coach is present on the ice who can provide first aid, there is no issue with the coach virtually providing feedback. And is virtual coaching happens all the time? Is this just for outdoor backyard rinks due to COVID? So Skate Canada's response is, again, we cannot comment on the specifics noted in this question. We reiterate that a coach must be present to administer first aid in event of injury. So hopefully that answers most of the questions that people had regarding backyard rinks. Right now, just as a further clarification, if people haven't heard or if there's some confusion, any rink that is on your personal property, whether it's in your backyard or as long as it's within the boundaries of your property, that is considered your yard, and nobody else except for your household right now is allowed to be there. If you go into a public, pond, retention pond, lake, river, community center rink, if it's outdoors, there's allowed to have five people present, socially distanced, wearing masks. They're allowed to be in the ice or in the space. So public spaces is fine with 5 people maximum. Private property, it's just the people who live in the household. Okay, the next part is just general Q&A, so we're going to open that up to anybody now. That's the formal end of the formal stuff that we have to share with you. So please, if you have any questions, type it in the chat box and we will read it for you and answer it. Or let us know in the chat box you have a question if it's too long and lengthy, and Rosin will review it and ask you to unmute, and then you will have the floor to ask your question.
You can also raise your hand if you want to. If you go to the participants icon and click on that at the very bottom, there is an option to raise your hand as well. So
perfect. Thanks, Dan.
maybe that too.
Or you can also email Rosalind too. So I don't know if Rosalind's checked her email. Shaking her head.
Sorry, I'm not checking my email just at this moment because my screen is currently being shared.
Oh, yes. You could probably unshare it from here, Rosin, if you want to. So it's just if you want to check your emails. There doesn't seem to be anybody having any questions. And if you have other questions that after we end the call tonight, you can certainly, as always, reach out to Rosalind and or myself, and we can answer. Oh, there's one in the chat.
There is a comment in the chat box right now. So I'm hearing from some arenas that some arenas may let their ice go depending on decisions from Hockey Manitoba about their season. Is there any consideration by Skate Canada Manitoba to find ice, specifically thinking of our pre-novice and novice preparation?
Great question. We haven't had independent conversations regarding if we should try to secure ice in other locations for if and when we go in out of red. We have, Rosin and I have been reaching out to our member clubs to find out kind of what their statuses are and their ice availability. There may be some arenas, depending on what the province says, that might reduce their ice. or if they have multiple pads, or if they have one pad, they may let their ice go. So we kind of have to play that by ear and see. I know that there's been a number of clubs that I have spoken to that they're all wait and see what happens before they make any decisions. So, you know, I can't really say that we would or we wouldn't, but it's something that we haven't talked about, but it would be a good idea for a conversation. So Lorraine, for sure, we will look at it internally to see, you know, what that looks like, what potential options we might have.
I'd just like to clarify, is that for, when you say preparation, are you saying will Skate Canada Manitoba look for ice for training or for the actual event, Lorraine? And then while you're maybe answering that, I think step one for us as we continue these discussions with Skate Canada is ensuring that our timelines align with the Safe Return to Sport protocol. You know, I think this is a very different conversation if we're in lockdown for another month after January. It becomes a Safe Return to Sport question. Of course, I'm hoping we get back on the ice in January and this is a viable opportunity for us. But those are the ongoing discussions that Deborah was referring to at the bottom of her statement.
Yeah, so it says here she was thinking about training as skaters haven't been able to train for weeks. So that's something that we could kind of discuss internally and broach that with at the athlete development committee, just to see if you know, they have any suggestions or recommendations moving forward. So there are a number of provinces that also have been quite restricted in different, either their entire province, such as the province of Quebec, have mostly been shut down for almost as long as we have. Some of they have a school program that has been allowed to operate, but the majority of everybody else in their province has been shut down. Ontario, different pockets at different times have been shut down for significant periods of time. So, I mean, I don't know, I haven't counted the number of days compared to other sections that we have been shut down, but we are for sure certainly disadvantaged.
And I can share with you, Lorraine, that Skate Canada has had ongoing discussion about participation from provinces and what that looks like based on our situation. So that may mean it's not a national event, but more of a performance opportunity contingent on every province's situation and how we decide on that. So I think for us, step one is to make sure that we can align with a Safe Return to Sport protocol. And if we can, would be addressing some of the concerns you have amongst others with our committees and developing solutions to give our skaters every advantage they can moving into that event.
Kristen Swain also has a question. Kristen, if you want to unmute yourself and ask about your question about community rinks, feel free to.
Hi. Yeah, I was just wondering, and this is just because you brought up the backyard rinks or whatever. Now that communities can open their outdoor rinks, what do we tell our skaters and families that might want to be like out there and expecting coaching on those? What's the rules around them?
When you do private coaching, normally, and Cadvan can correct me if I'm mistaken, but while there's Skate Canada programming, no other programming can be on the ice at the same time for first aid and safety. So for them to go on and do independent skating and skate publicly, just like the average person, they can certainly do that. But for private coaching, I believe, Cadvan, am I correct in saying that they need to have, they can't have anybody else on the ice with them?
Correct. Yeah, coaches can procure their private ice and still fall under insurance under regular circumstances. But an ODR that has other activities going on to it, I don't believe would fall under that purview.
Yeah.
The other thing too to remember is while we're under Code Red, we can't have any Skate Canada sanctioned activities. So there can't be any lessons until we get out of Code Red.
Right.
So as soon as we get out of Code Red, yes, you could go to an outdoor rink and you could run a can skate or a skating program if you were the only people on the ice. So if there's nobody on the ice Saturday morning from 9 to 10, you go out to the community rink and you want to do some stroking practice or a private lesson, that would be allowed at that time.
But yes, Dan's right. Anytime we're in code red, there's no Skate Canada or figure skating related activity or any sporting activity, organized sporting activity that can take place.
Yeah.
Thank you for that answer. I was just more curious because thinking as if we move out of code red and some of these rinks close their indoor rinks, they might still have their outdoor rinks open.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's a definite possibility then.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Brian. Question. Any idea how does Skate Ontario get their competitive skaters to be able to skate in arenas in red COVID regions? And Tina says, code red in Ontario is not lockdown. They have gray for lockdown. Okay, so their pandemic response code levels are slightly different than ours. So I don't know if Cadvan or Diana or Rosalind, if you have anything else to add to that. I know that certain areas in Ontario with certain levels of skaters, they have petitioned the government because their process is different than our process. But I know in certain levels, they had initially got special permission for certain levels of skaters to be on the ice. But I don't know the full definition of their competitive, what they're defining as a competitive skater, what level that would be.
I'm not 100% sure either. I know the original discussion was for carded athletes. I don't know if that is the same right now.
Yeah.
And it's my understanding that in some of the regions they are not skating, that the rinks are actually closed. So they would not be skating and they're not allowed to go to another region, just like we had put in place to skate. So if Kingston had closed down and they closed the rinks in Kingston, they couldn't go to Brampton to skate.
Right, and so then Patty responded, hi Patty, that skaters who have potential for Olympics. So again, it would be, as Kevin said, carded athletes. So.
And just while I have, I think, a couple pre-novice, novice folks on the phone, the lack of communication around this event has had more to do with the, non-finality of our discussions with Skate Canada. So what I'm hoping is as soon as we have some clarity from the government on a return, that I'll immediately start communicating with the affected athletes and start looking at their plans moving forward.
Yeah, that's true. It was our conference call just this week with Skate Canada that we actually finalized the date of February 1st as a drop dead date of whether or not we'd be holding this competition, and then as well the March 31st for the videos to be in. So that only was discussed this week.
Okay, Cadvan, this is for you. Is there any opportunity for Manitoba to host a national coach technical and tactical course via Zoom, as you can't travel right now?
Just so I can clarify, are you talking NCCP or are you wanting national level coaches to have a technical?
NCCP.
So no Skate Canada programming can happen right now. I know Skate Canada has had some discussions on virtual delivery of NCCP, but I don't think anything's been finalized yet. Is that accurate, Rosalind? I think you may know as well. I
believe that's right. I've heard that they've been working on things, but they haven't. They've got a number of them trying to figure out which and how to actually facilitate that, because there may be an on-ice component that's required as well.
I know that for officials training, that's gone virtual. So officials, we could do a star 1 to 4 or a star 6 to gold virtually.
I anticipate, Pam, that they're quite a ways away from pulling the trigger on a virtual NCCP delivery. just the amount of off ice and how in depth those 3-day courses are, I imagine it's a fairly large undertaking. I'm hopeful that COVID has given them a nudge to further that development. But I don't anticipate in the near future that anything will be complete.
Okay, anybody else? And just as an on the aside, if you're Rosalind, Diane, and Kevin and I, we meet weekly with Skate Canada and our counterparts across the country to discuss all sorts of COVID-related topics, and we share best practices and current status of where we are within our provinces. And so we are quite in tune with what's happening across the country on a regular basis. We hear from Skate Canada and different initiatives that they're working on and different sections of what they're doing and what their restrictions are or might be coming forward. So we do meet on a regular basis, and we will continue to be meeting on a regular basis until at least mid-February. And Diane and I and Rosalind, Diane I think sometimes participates, I'm not sure if all the time, and we have a Sport Manitoba call with Sport Manitoba upper management, as well as all of the sports across the province. We meet every 2 weeks. So again, we are getting information directly from Sport Manitoba regarding issues with within the provincial government that come down, and the provincial government's interpretation of clarifications of any of the restrictions that have been in place and how they affect sport. So we do have those regular meetings. We have also met with the Minister of Sport, Culture and Tourism. I think that's what her title is. We've also met with the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Atwal. So he's a direct link to Dr. Ruzin, and he also provides us with some clarity and answering some questions and support. So we are continuously in contact with a number of our stakeholders across the country and the sports within our province to be up to date, so that we are using that information as a resource for us to make some of the decisions that we review and make. And Rosin and I and Cadvan meet on a regular basis to go through and discuss our return to play document and any updates or changes or revisions or answer or any questions that come in for us to review before we respond. And we review the government website on a regular basis and listen to the media conferences, so that when we're making the decisions, we're making them based on provincial fact and not on rumor or speculation that may be floating in other social media platforms. So just wanted to share that information in case people were curious as to that information. And we try to update our FAQs when they come. We don't always announce that there's been an update to our FAQs, so I would certainly encourage people to go to our COVID resource page on our website and look at some of the FAQs and see what other of your stakeholders or contemporaries have asked us that we haven't necessarily shared with you, but we do our best to keep on top of all of it. All right, I don't see any other questions here. Do you see any other hands? I don't have a little hands thing here.
No, I don't see any.
Rosalind, do you have any thing on your end? Nope, shaking her head.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I know that the news that we have isn't great news. Hopefully come January, we'll have some good news from the province that we'll be able to get back on the ice. And we'll get great news from our community rinks as well, to say that they're going to put the ice in and people are going to be able to get back on the ice. I want to again thank all the coaches, all the committees, everybody who's working behind the scenes to keep on creating the season that we can for our skaters and to keep them engaged and motivated. I know it's difficult. I know that people just want to be on the ice and skating, and I know how hard it is not to be. So I just want to commend you on hanging in tight with us, and hopefully in 2021 I will see you at a rink. So thank you, everybody, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, or whatever holiday that you celebrate, please. I'm hoping that it's a happy one for you, and stay healthy.
All right, fantastic. All right, so
Thanks,
one
everyone.
last call just to make sure there's nothing there in the chat box and we're all good.
We're all
All right.
good. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Thanks for coming tonight.